Hello and welcome to Yin Yoga, gentle movements for this practice. And my name is Michelle Chua. For this practice, grab a couple of yoga blocks, a pillow, a strap, a blanket, and anything else that you might use to support your body with ease, as this is more of a deep stretch quality, lots of moments in stillness. You want to be comfortable when we're holding still in these poses. And let's begin in a comfortable seat. You may like to prop up your pelvis on a folded blanket or a stack of blocks. Anything that allows you to feel both rooted, connected to the surface below, with stable support, and uplifted. And then notice as you begin to still your body, what is your natural posture right now without having to judge it as good or bad? Just sense the relationship between your shoulders and your hips in space. Sense the curvature of your spine. Sense the orientation of your pelvic bowl and your skull. And begin to, perhaps closing your eyes, scan your body mentally. Go into the parts of your body that you tend to feel things most, that you are most aware of. Maybe it's the neck and shoulders, maybe it's your lower back, maybe there's a part of your body right now that's really talking to you in some way. And without having to describe the sensations there, be present with that sensation. Feel it from the inside of your body. And then move on to another part. And just beginning to move from one body part to another, highlighting whatever the sensations are there right now. So recently we talked about aparigraha, which is one of the first, within the first limb of yoga, which means non-attachment or letting go. And we've also been setting our intentions for the spring season, as we're now on day 3 of spring in the Northern Hemisphere. And some of that setting intention can feel like, oh, I have to do something. I have to move to action. I need to make my to-do list and check it off. But aparigraha reminds us that part of setting our intentions is the ability to let go of effort. So the word I want to bring to mind for today's practice as a resounding theme is receiving. The practice of receiving. For those of you especially that are nurturers, that are mothers, that are caretakers, that are activists, that do work for others' well-being, how in this practice may you really practice the art of letting go by receiving? So let's start with a breath. Just notice, without tweaking it in any way, the way that your body is receiving breath. You might feel into an area of your body in which you really can feel the breath move. Maybe it's the rib cage, maybe it's at the tip of your nose, maybe it's at the back of your throat or elsewhere. And notice, again, without changing it, how expansive is that breath? And you may have already started to shift your posture, but might you make any adjustments to your physical posture right now so that it's easier for you to more expansively receive the next breaths? Like sitting up a little taller, like rolling the shoulders back and down, allowing the rib cage some room to open up with the inhalation. And then sense what you're feeling internally in your mind, in an emotional state. So kind of the repeated question or practice today is going to be, how can you make it easier for yourself to receive? Whether it be the breath, whether it be the manifestation of the intention that you've come here with, whether it's insight as we're sitting in meditation. How can you make it easier for yourself to receive? Sometimes we might think that that's selfish if we're so used to giving. But remember, we need to give from a cup that's full, not a cup that's empty. So let's bring the hands to meet at the heart. Clarify what you're open to receiving today through this practice. And then allow the breath to deepen, filling up the rib cage, filling up the abdomen. Feel the breath exit. And notice how your body is receiving the breath. Now. And then maybe call to mind somebody that you would like to offer this practice to, sharing the fruits of it from afar. Next inhale, hold it in at the very top as you seal that intention in your mind's eye. Then through the mouth, exhale, long whispering sound. And let's create resonance as we share a practice, chanting 3 ohms. Take a deep breath in. Bowing in towards your heart center. Acknowledge your inner guidance to guide you through this physical practice. Make choices that are nurturing and allowing you to receive. Now let's bring the hands down to the side ribs, the left and right walls of your rib cage. As you breathe in, fill up your belly and expand into the side ribs, all the way up to the sternum, closing the lips. Exhale just as deeply. Inhale fully, so now you're using your diaphragm to really expand, and then exhale just as much. So we're going to begin a breath work called bellows breath, or Bhastrika Pranayama, and it's a way to help cleanse your lungs and sort of clear the clouds of the mind. It might even feel energizing afterwards, but notice how it affects you personally. So with this, we inhale and exhale rhythmically at a briefer pace, a brisker pace that you can sustain. And there's a physical action that will help us to warm up the shoulders and arms, in which you bend the elbows apart, relax the shoulders down and sit tall. Hands are fisted. And as you breathe in, you raise the arms straight and spread the fingers. As you breathe out, you rebend the elbows and refist the hands, sort of like this. So full in breaths, full out breaths, equal. So I'm going to set the timer here for 1 minute of Bhastrika Pranayama, or bellows breath. Ready? Begin. 20 seconds left. Relax, be still, maybe close your eyes, breathe naturally, and pause here to observe how you feel. Then allow your breath to deepen again, perhaps softly constricting the back of your throat to invite a gentle whisper as you breathe evenly and sustained in and out through the nose. Full breath, filling up the belly and the rib cage. Letting the belly soften as you breathe out. And as you hear that sound, it offers your mind an anchor, a focal point that bridges it to your body and the present moment. This is the practice of Ujjayi pranayama, or victorious breathing technique. See if you can keep that sustained rhythmic breath sound going through most of our asana yoga here. Now let's come down onto all fours, hands and knees. If you like to have some cushion for your knees, you can unfold your blanket and drape it across the middle of your mat. And then from hands and knees, take a look at your wrists and make sure that your shoulders are stacked right above. Take a look at your knees and walk them back a couple inches behind your hips. Let's begin Bitalasana, or cat-cow, gentle movement. As you inhale, glide your chest through your upper arms, roll your shoulders back and down and look up into cow pose. As you exhale, press your palms down and contract your belly. Drop your head and dome your back. Cat pose. A few more times. Inhale, glide the shoulder blades down your back ribs and coil your chest up. Exhale, lift the navel towards your spine, tilting your pelvis back as you drop your skull. Take at least 3 more slow cycles of breath in cat-cow. And when you finish the last cat pose, tuck your toes, feet hips width apart, and lift your hips high and back, stretching your back in downward facing dog. Take a few breaths there to move your body any way that allows it ease as you hear your breath flow with ease. Let go of any holding in your jaw, your neck. Spread your fingers flat on the earth, grounding yourself. And open up across your shoulders by rolling your outer upper arms towards the ground. Feel free to bend your knees as you find the highest point to lift your sitting bones while pressing them towards the back wall. Now let's hold still for about 3 more breaths. Set your eyes on one spot. Soft, steady gaze. Feel the full inhalation expanding in your lungs, your belly. And feel the release of the out breath all the way to empty. Listen to the next breath, and at the end of the exhalation, walk your feet to the front of your mat to stand in a forward fold, separating your feet at least hips distance apart and parallel to each other. Bend your knees a lot here and just let your head hang. You can just let the arms hang and maybe start to sway the spine for some gentle movement and decompression. you might hold opposite elbows with your hands and gently pull the weight downward as you shift more weight forward. Maybe softly shaking your head, loosening your neck, and nodding your head, inviting mobility and ease there. Couple more breaths. Maybe switch the cross of your arms if you're holding your elbows. Lean a little more weight forward as you bend the knees more. Any strain in the back of your body, let it go by bending the knees deeper. Make it easier for yourself to receive this pose. Now, take hold of your blocks. Place them on their tallest height, about a foot in front of your toes. Press your blocks with your fingertips, and with your knees still bent, draw in your belly and lift your chest through your upper arms, sliding the shoulders back as you inhale into a half forward fold. And exhale, release your head down, folding over your legs. Try that a few times. Press the fingertips into the blocks. Inhale, reach the top of your head forward. Lean forward, lengthen through the sides of your torso, sides of your neck. Exhale, bow over your legs. Again, knees bent, firm in the belly. Inhale, press the blocks. Glide your sternum through the gates of your arms. Feel the length in the back of your neck, the front of your neck. Exhale, forward fold. This time, press down with your feet, reach the arms forward, and inhale, rise all the way up so the arms sweep overhead as you roll the shoulders back and down. Exhale, join your hands, slide them in front of your heart. Padasana. We're going to flow slowly through a variation of Sun Salutation C, warming up before we hold our yin and restorative poses. As you inhale, sweep your arms forward, roll your shoulders behind you and down, lightly lifting your heart and gaze. Exhale, bend your knees so that with a flat back, you can fold over your legs with ease. Press your fingertips into the blocks, walk them outside of your heels, and inhale, step the left knee behind you, coming into a kneeling lunge. Take a breath in there, rolling your shoulders back, looking up, opening your throat. Exhale, staying here. One more breath. Inhale, sinking the pelvis, lifting your frontal hip bones. Exhale, softening the shoulders down your back. Set the blocks aside, step back to hands and knees, all fours. Take an inhale on hands and knees and glide your chest forward. Lift the navel in. Now as you exhale, point your elbows back, passing through Chaturanga Dandasana and coming all the way to the ground. With your wrists beside your floating ribs, hug your elbows close to your rib cage and firm the tops of your feet into the ground. Inhale, peel your shoulders behind you, float your chest forward into a baby cobra pose. Pause and breathe here. Lengthen the back of your neck, looking slightly down. Root your pubic bone. And take another breath in. Bhujangasana. As you exhale, press up to hands and knees again. Tuck your toes. Lift your hips back. Downward facing dog. Take a couple slow breaths. Feel the energy of your hands like roots of a solid tree, reaching the way out to your finger pads. Rolling your triceps down as you free space in your neck and shoulders. Lifting your hips high like the peak of a mountain as you sink your heels low. Inhale, step your left foot beside your left thumb. Lower your back knee and place your hands on your blocks. Take a few breaths. Sinking your hips. Lift your frontal hip bones towards your rib cage. And look up, open your throat, roll your shoulders back and down. Take another inhalation. As you exhale, step your right foot forward and bow. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, rise all the way up, dropping the shoulders, looking up. Exhale, seal your palms to meet at your heart center. Let's take one more variation of Surya Namaskar C. Inhale, sweep your arms forward, roll your shoulders back and down. Bend your knees, exhale, fold with a flat back. Hands on blocks, inhale, step the right knee back. Pause for a few breaths, sinking your pelvis, lifting your frontal hip bones, and rolling your shoulders back and down as you look up. Take another breath, open your throat. Exhale, place your hands and knees on the floor, all fours. Inhale, lift your belly and glide your chest forward. Exhale, point your elbows back to graze your side ribs as you lower. Tops of your feet rooting down. Inhale, coil your chest up, reach your sternum forward. Pause for a couple more breaths in Cobra Pose. Rooting down through every toenail, stretch your heels towards your back wall. Stretch your sternum towards your front wall. And melt your shoulders down, one more breath. Bhujangasana. Exhale, press down through hands and knees. Tuck your toes and lift your hips back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take a couple of breaths here. Let your body be still, your gaze steady, as you invite ease in your breath. Inhale, step your right foot forward beside your right thumb. Lowering your back knee, place your hands on your blocks. Take a few breaths here, sinking your pelvis, lifting your frontal hip bones, rolling your shoulders back and down and looking up, opening your throat. Take another breath in. Then exhale, step the left foot forward and fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and rise to stand, dropping your shoulders behind you as you coil your chest up. Exhale your palms to meet at your heart. All right, let's come down to sit. And set your feet on the floor here so that we can lower onto our backs. So come on down to your back, and we're going to enter a more subtle, detailed movement, which can offer lengthening into the lower spine. So bring your arms down by your sides, walk your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips. And if you do have a block, take the skinniest width and firm it between your knees and thighs. So that creates some traction and stability for the lower spine. Now, pressing your feet onto the earth, parallel to each other, ground the backs of your shoulders and tilt your chin back, slightly away from your chest. So this is a specific variation of moving bridge pose in which we're going to accentuate the lengthening of the lower spine. So picture a string connected to your tailbone and keeping your pelvis touching the floor. Begin to imagine that string being pulled up towards the ceiling. So your tailbone starts to point upwards while the pelvis stays on the floor. You should feel a contraction in the lower abdomen. Now lead from that tailbone to begin lifting the pelvis by stretching the tailbone forward towards the block between your knees. We're not going up to our highest height of bridge, just going to pause to the degree where you can feel that lengthening of the lower spine and releasing the flesh of your glutes, just visualizing this, towards the backs of your knees. Take another deep breath here as we hold. Then exhale, articulate the release of your upper back, each vertebra at a time. Your middle back, and lastly, your tailbone. So we lead and culminate with the tailbone. We're going to try that same thing 2 more times, then we'll hold bridge the 4th time, a little bit longer. So tilt the tailbone up while your pelvis remains on the ground. Then stretch the tailbone towards the block, lifting the pelvis.
go about 60 to 70% of your highest height and hold there for about 5 breaths. Stretching the fronts of your thighs forward. Spin your inner thighs slightly towards the ground as your feet stay parallel to each other. So that action comes from your femur heads, your thigh bones, in the hip sockets. One more breath here. Exhale, kiss the earth one vertebra at a time, starting with your upper back, ending with your tailbone. A few breaths to come down. And pelvis to the floor. Let's try it one more time. Tilt the tailbone up, keep the pelvis on the ground. Then stretch the tailbone towards the block, lifting the pelvis. Imagine releasing the flesh of your glutes towards the backs of your knees. Just going up 60 to 70%. Hold for 3 more breaths here. Opening the throat, grounding the backs of your shoulders. And with your next exhalation, and then a few breaths after, slowly lower one vertebra at a time. Takes more than an exhale, probably. And when your pelvis meets the ground, take a long breath there, resting for a moment, and preparing to lift into whatever your capacity is for full bridge pose today. And when you're ready, lifting up, lead with the tailbone, same start. Stretch the fronts of your thighs forward, root down through the 4 corners of each foot. This time, perhaps walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs, keeping your arms straight. Maybe interlacing the fingers if the hands meet. Coiling your chest up, keep stretching your tailbone towards the block. Spinning your inner thighs slightly towards the ground. Now feel your breath capacity here. How can you invite ease to fully receive your last few breaths in this pose? Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. And when you decide that you're ready to come down, articulate again, each vertebra touching the earth one at a time. And when your pelvis meets the ground eventually, place the block aside, step your feet apart, wider than hips distance, separating your knees just as wide apart. Place your hands on your belly here so they're out of the way. Inhale, drop both knees slowly to the right side, slowly windshield wiping your legs, and exhale, lift your knees, drop them to the left. Take that a few times at your own pace. Inhale to the right, exhale to the left. Couple more. So you're gently massaging the glutes against the ground, warming up your inner and outer thighs, and helping to loosen any tension along the lower back and hips. And once you finish this full round, let's drop both knees to the right, and we'll hold the posture. Point your left knee down the center line of your mat. Feel into the amount of sensation you're feeling, especially in the left side of your lower back and the front of your left hip, the area of the psoas. If there's plenty of sensation going on there, just stay right here. Breathe. Otherwise, pick up your right foot, cross the ankle just above your left knee, adding a little more encouragement for the front of that left thigh to lengthen forward. And if you'd like to open up the side waist a bit more, raise your arms overhead and hold opposite elbows, then drop the arms back. Walk the shoulders down your back. Let's take about 8 more breaths here. Slow inhalation. Feel the release as the belly softens. And when you finish the last breath here, ease your way back to center, stepping the feet on the mat wider than hips distance apart and separating your knees just as much. And when you're ready, drop your knees both to the left and point your right knee down the midline of your mat. Notice what you're feeling in the front of your right hip and the right side of your lower back. If you're seeking more sensation, pick up your left foot, cross that ankle just above your right knee, encouraging the front of your right thigh to lengthen forward. And to balance off, if you did so on the first side, raise your arms overhead and take hold of the other elbow on top, dropping your arms back and releasing the shoulders down your back. And let's invite in another 8 deep breaths through the nose. And when you finish counting those 8 breaths at your own pace, gently lift your knees and again step your feet apart on the mat, wider than hips distance. Drop your knees together to touch. Place your hands at your frontal hip bones, and then just below your frontal hip bones, press your palms into your thighs. And let's release space in the fronts of your hips. You might imagine your breath expanding into your hip flexors. As you lengthen your tailbone forward towards the front edge of your mat. Let's take another 5 breaths here. And then from here, Bend your right knee into your chest and slide your left leg onto the floor. In wind relieving pose, Apanasana, slide your right thigh to the right outer side of your abdomen. Ground the backs of your shoulders as much as you can. And for another 7 breaths, each exhale, draw your right thigh a little closer, gently pressing into your right outer abdomen, helping to stimulate your digestive organs. Breathe into your abdomen. Feeling your belly expand, especially where it makes contact with your right inner thigh. And then allowing your belly to soften as you exhale. And then release the right leg straight and bend your left knee into your chest. Slide your left thigh to the left outer side of your belly. Ground the backs of your shoulders. And for about 7 breaths, each exhale, draw the thigh closer. Breathe into your belly, especially the left side of it. Then allow your belly to soften. Now let's step the feet on the ground again and grab your pillow. If you have a body pillow, that might be even more comfortable. You're going to use the pillow as a spacer between our thighs and our knees. And if your pillow is not long enough, you could use your block between your knees, block between your thighs, adjusting it so that your knees are spaced apart, generally hips distance apart. You can even have your ankles hugging the pillow like this. And then with your feet on the ground, slide your pelvis towards the right edge of your mat. Open your arms like a T, grounding both of your shoulders. Lift your feet. And then take a deep breath. Exhale, start to lower your knees to the left. So taking a few breaths to find that range of motion. Now, if you find that your right shoulder starts to rise away from the floor, then you may want to put another pillow or blocks or a folded blanket underneath the outside of your left leg so that you don't have to lower your legs all the way to the floor. You have something to prop your legs on. So again, how can you invite ease to receive the most benefit of this pose? Grounding the right shoulder, you might turn your head to look past it. Now let's take 10 more breaths here, or allow 10 more breaths. Once you've experienced those 10 full breaths, begin to lift your legs, step your feet back onto the ground so that you can slide your pelvis past the midline of your mat and closer to the left edge of your mat. Pick up your feet and then grounding the left shoulder, take a deep breath in before you start to lower your legs over to the right. And notice again if it might be helpful to place a prop underneath your outer right leg. Perhaps looking over your left shoulder. And then allow 10 full breaths here. When you finish your 10 breaths at your count, come back to center, step your feet on the ground, and let's put the block or the pillow between your legs aside. Draw your bent knees towards your shoulders so they're a little wider apart than your hips. Press your tailbone into the ground. Press the backs of your shoulders into the ground and tilt your chin slightly closer to your sternum to lengthen the back of your neck. Let's take 5 breaths here, just sort of ironing out the back of your spine against the ground. Then bring the soles of your feet together and splay your knees apart while keeping your feet off the floor. Reach for your outer feet with your hands, and if they're hard to reach, the shoulders start to lift off the ground, then grab a strap and hold that strap between both hands and wrap it around your outer feet as an extension of your arms. Now, as you press the soles of your feet together, start to dance your right hip towards the front edge of your mat, lengthening the right side waist, and then dance the left hip towards the front edge of your mat. It's like you're swiveling the hips, giving a little massage to your sacrum as you splay the thighs apart, rooting your tailbone and shoulders. Breathe in, breathe out. Here's a supine, leg lifted variation of Baddha Konasana, bound angle pose. Let's take a couple more breaths. Splay your feet to face the sky, happy baby pose, or clasp your big toes and extend your legs apart towards straight. Either way, keep grounding your shoulders and your tailbone. Let's take about 5 breaths here. You could also opt to rest your arms on your inner thighs if you're straddling the legs wide. Notice anything around your outer thighs, your inner thighs, your pelvic region. Any sensations happening there? Slide your palms to your outer thighs and bending your knees, draw them together. Hug your knees into your chest and maybe begin to rock and roll sideways or forward and back. So that after a few times, you can lift your torso upright to sit. Now, sitting here, cross your right shin over your left shin or in front. Either sitting cross-legged, you might like to prop your pelvis up on a folded blanket to help you sit up tall and balance your pelvis towards the ground. Or you might cross your ankles and your knees to stack, flexing your feet. And this is double pigeon pose. Sit up tall by pressing both sitting bones down. Take a deep breath and then begin to walk your hands forward. Each in-breath, pause, root the pelvis. Visualize stretching your lower spine from it. And as you firm in the belly, exhale, maybe hinge forward another little bit. Got about 8 more breaths here, just exploring what range of motion in your forward fold allows you ease in your breath. What messages from your body are you receiving in this posture? And how are you relating to what you receive? Crawling your fingertips towards you, start to lift your chest. Inhale to slowly rise. Let's extend the legs forward, especially if you're flexing your feet. You might want to point your toes or roll out your ankles, circling your feet. Feel the breath. How's your body receiving it here? Now let's switch the cross of the legs, taking the left shin and placing it on top or in front of the right shin. Maybe stacking your ankles and your knees while flexing your feet in double pigeon. You might move aside the flesh from your sitting bones to really root down and lift up, and then allow a deep breath. Exhale, start to fold. 10 breaths in total here. And when you finish your 10 breaths, take your time lifting yourself up, stretching your legs forward, and maybe moving out your feet or pointing your toes. So let's set up for another breathing practice, preparing us to rest in corpse pose. Get yourself situated comfortably here. I'm making my blanket a little bit higher so that the knees can drop more easily when the hips are already higher than the knees. Sitting towards the front edge of that blanket.
So let's begin the practice of Durga Pranayama, which is a way of really feeling the full capacity of each breath. A way of tuning inward, pratyahara, to help us relax towards meditation. So thinking of receiving the breath most expansively and then allowing it to release, letting it go. It's a 3-part breathing technique. So picturing your torso here like a jar, and we'll divide it into 3 cross sections. The lowest cross section is at the base of your spine and pelvic floor up to your lower belly. Think about the belly button. And then the second cross section is from about the belly button all the way around to about most of your rib cage underneath the armpits. And then the third cross section goes all the way up through the neck, shoulders, upper back, to the base of your skull, to your throat and neck. So we'll inhale 1/3 of the breath into the lowest part of your torso and pause. Then we'll inhale another 1/3 of the breath into the mid part and pause. Then we'll inhale all the way up to the neck and shoulders and hold the breath in before we empty the breath slowly, everything through the nose. So you might like to place the left hand at your upper chest to indicate the topmost part, and your right hand below the belly button to indicate the first part. Relax your shoulders, feel the full length of your spine, and maybe close your eyes and visualize where you're directing your breath. Exhale this breath out. Hold it. Into the lowest part of your torso, inhale 1/3. Pause. Mid part, inhale 1/3. Pause. Uppermost part, inhale 1/3. Hold the breath. Exhale slowly through the nose. Hold the breath. Round 2. Lowest part, inhale 1/3. Pause. Middle part, inhale. Pause. Uppermost, inhale. Hold the breath. Exhale completely. Hold the breath. Round 3. Inhale 1/3. Pause. Inhale second third. Pause. Inhale last third. Hold. Exhale everything. Hold. Take a couple more cycles on your own. Durga Pranayama. And when you finish at your own pace, no rush, release both hands. Allow your body to breathe naturally and sit in reflection of your experience. Moving very gently and mindfully, please begin to lower your body onto the ground using any props that you might like to offer ease and comfort. Closing your eyes, allow your eyeballs to sink in their sockets, inviting you to drop your attention further inward. Sense your body here fully supported, your whole being fully supported as you allow yourself to fully receive the benefits of your practice. to sense what it is that you're receiving to your practice physically, energetically, mentally, or emotionally. And begin with subtle movements like rubbing your thumbs across your fingertips. Maybe slowly turning your head and feeling into the sensations at your neck. And just listening to how your body guides you to move with ease out of stillness. Perhaps keeping your eyes closed and gradually turning over to your right side to rest. And as you feel ready, rooting into the ground with your palms, rise up slowly and find a comfortable seat for your body where you can feel alert to what's here, open for the breath, and again at ease. I invite you to turn your palms to face up if that's comfortable for you, and rest your palms at the center of your lap, bringing your thumb tips to touch. So as the palms are face up, it's also a gesture of receiving while in a neutral position. And either close your eyes or soften a steady gaze at eye level onto one spot. And notice, like you did at the start, the way your body is now receiving breath. Is there any gentle adjustment you can make to your body so that it most efficiently and expansively naturally receive the breath? Rest your awareness where you can tune into your breath just as it is. And in the next 3 quiet minutes, how might you release the energy of thought and be open to receiving whatever surfaces as it comes and goes? And let's ease out of meditation as you return to your physical body, physical space. Perhaps join your palms in front of your heart center. Now bowing in with gratitude. Gratitude for your practice, gratitude to all that came together for you to receive the benefits of your practice today. Remember your intention and to whom you've dedicated this practice to. Let's close with one Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.